This Saturday, Florida State and Georgia Tech will travel to Ireland to take part in the Aer Lingus College Football Classic. If Irish three-word organizations are any indication, I expect for Georgia Tech to get blown out. Welcome to the Moonstem Cast. I am Jorden. This is the Erickson to my Leaf, Brian. Brian, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Oh, man.
That came about because, a fun fact, I looked up the other international games, and the Vikings and Jets are playing in England the week of Leif Erickson. So, just fun fact for anyone out there who likes to bet, system bet. But hello, Brian. Welcome, everyone, to the Moonstem Cast. Let's just jump right into it. Let's do the Astros first, because we always talk about the Astros first. Our Kikuchi apology tour continues this week. I'd like to apologize to him further and to Jeff Bagwell further for everything I've said. I also like to congratulate the Astros for winning the AL West. This may come back to...
Let's reel it in.
No one watches this, so I don't care if anyone clips this. But I think the Astros have a fantastic chance of going to the playoffs. Maybe even winning or being the first seed in the AL.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. We've got 5 games on the M's right now. Kikuchi went 5 and 2/3 yesterday, and I think gave up 3 runs. So, I mean, I'm still waiting for him to go 6, but that's such a minor want and complaint compared to what he's produced. And we're continuing to eat our words, and that's okay.
And then Verlander's back tomorrow, because we're, for the record, we're recording on a Tuesday this week. We usually record on a Wednesday, but Verlander's back next week, or tomorrow, which hopefully, I mean, again, who knows how he's going to look, but he looked good in the minors. He looked good in not Seattle, in Sugarland. Here's to hoping he gets back. I saw Tucker was hopping on the field. Even though apparently we're better without Tucker.
Ooh, let's talk about Tucker real quick. Okay. So we just claimed Ben Gamel off of waivers from the New York Mets, who's an outfielder. And I'm not saying, but I am saying that this might be an indication that why are we claiming an outfielder when we have people we could call up? It makes me feel like, hey, there's a good chance we shut down Tucker for the season.
Yeah. I mean, I think I made like the joke earlier in our podcasting career that I think Tucker's just straight up gone. He's going to Ed Oliver and just be like, I'm done, I'm sitting out. But the more as time goes on, the more we don't see him. With things like that happening, I almost wonder if this is just the end of Tucker in Houston.
I think it might be.
Which is sad because I like Kyle Tucker. I think Kyle Tucker's done a great service to, I was almost going to say his nation, but he did play on the U.S. Team in the World Baseball Classic, but he has done a great service to the city. Again, I will always bring up that 2019 team as a team that should have won, and in my heart won, even though they didn't.
We should have 4 World Series, by the way.
Yeah, no, we should.
We should have won 2019, and we should have beaten the Rangers last year, and we would have kicked the shit out of the Diamondbacks.
I think literally the Venezuelan baseball kids baseball team would kick the shit out of the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, they were bad.
They were not. Yeah, they were just kind of there by luck. I don't know what happened to the National League last year, but
they dominated the National League playoffs, if I remember correctly. I think they did really well. Yeah. I'd attribute it to the same thing that the Mavericks did, where they did very well in the Western Conference, and then they got to the finals, and the Celtics shit pumped them, just like the Rangers kind of shit pumped the Diamondbacks.
A real team actually showed up for once, and when a real team shows up against the Kid Gloves team, they're going to destroy them. So, I mean, again, the Rangers, whatever. I don't pretend they're real this season.
Frauds. I
mean, we have no one's going to listen to this. We have the steroids ban on there as well, and they're spending money like Manchester City, who should be indicted. But there's really not much on the Astros this week other than, hey, we're really good. There's a good chance we actually maybe get the first spot in the AL. Who knows if that will happen, because we have like 2 months, not 2 months, but about that time to go.
Month and a third to go, and we've got a little bit of a gauntlet for the next, I think 9 games. We've got a pretty bad gauntlet, but we've won, I believe 12 out of our last 13. The only one we dropped was to the fucking Chicago White Sox of all teams. Somehow we were one of their 30 victories.
The Chicago White Sox are a Greek mythological Riddler who will ask the question, how can we win? And the only way to answer them is by losing, which in some ways a Riddle paradox. So good for the White Sox for winning the game, but sad it was against us. Maybe that's maybe a big confidence boost for them. Maybe they could show their faces in the clubhouse.
Turning the ship around. Oh wait, they've been eliminated. They got eliminated at the beginning of August or like halfway through August. Oh, woo.
I mean, in spirit, they got eliminated in April. So, but yeah, Astros. Again, we were off the train for 1 week, and now we're back completely on.
Yep, 100%.
All right, so I'm going to talk about something I only care about. The U.S. men's national team hired a coach, which I am so happy about. So to give you some background on who this guy is, his name is Mauricio Pochettino. The way I speak about Klopp, that is the way Spurs fans, Tottenham Hotspur fans, speak about Mauricio Pochettino. Oh, okay. He turned their club around. He did one time get third in a 2-horse race against a team that was 5,000 to 1 odds to win the league. But, never mind. That's just my little thing for fun. I asked our Tottenham friend her statement on this hiring because she's an American and a Spurs fan. She said, "I'm so happy I can root for him again. In many ways, USA Soccer is like Tottenham. We never get results and somehow think we'll always get them anyways. He's a great man for a job like that. Plus, he made Chelsea look stupid." I am so excited for Mauricio Pochettino. I think it's been since, I don't know how long it's been since I've actually felt something for the U.S. men's national team. Like, even in the World Cup, I knew we had no chance. In this past Copa America, we looked horrible thanks to Greg Berhalter's questionable tactics in general. Mauricio Pochettino has the experience. He's never really won a major trophy, but that's not because of him. I would say that's because of the teams he coached. And I don't count League One as a real league, so that's why I say that, because he coached PSG. I'm really excited, and I think most U.S. men's national team fans are excited. And now the U.S. soccer somehow is just kicked into overdrive because we have Emma Hayes at the helm for the women's team, who she rocks. We have Mauricio Pochettino at the helm of the men's team. And I think his first game is mid-October. So I'll be really interested to see how he lines up and who he chooses for that. I imagine he'll choose like the usual guard, but I want to see what others, like his reserves, because he's going to choose Pulisic. He's going to have Matt Turner in there, sadly. He's going to have, all the regular crowd, but at some point you would hope he would pull something new, because we've had Berhalter, we had Bruce Arena, we had Klinsmann. Just a mid-off for many Americans, except Jorden is kind of American German, whatever. But that was my minute on the American soccer. The Premier League started the season, or this weekend. Liverpool played Ipswich Town, which was like when Georgia plays a community college. It's just kind of a tune-up game for them. So hair plug Salah looked good in the second half. Everyone looked good in the second half. I'm excited to see what Arne Slot's going to do. Again, this is more like, it was kind of felt like a tune-up game. No offense to Ipswich Town, but they know what they are. They're a new team to the Premier League. Last part of the Jorden just talks about things that he cares about. There's something called the Craig Jones Invitational this past week, and I've written a blog about it on our website about how I thought it was really important for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in general. Because there's another competition called ADCC, the Abu Dhabi Combat Club. They held it every 2 years in Vegas. Craig Jones had his tournament in Vegas as well at, I think it was UNLV's stadium. And at this tournament, I think I saw the best jiu-jitsu match I've ever seen of Kade Rotolo versus Andrew Tackett. If anyone wants to get into Brazilian jiu-jitsu, that's like the best match to watch. Also, there was a cool intergender match between Craig Jones and Gabby Garcia. It was a cool match to watch. You can tell he was taking it easy. He could have like destroyed her leg like 7 times. But overall, it was a fun experience. It was watched by like concurrent, I think overall like 1.4 million people overall, and then like 130,000 concurrently at one point. So really cool weekend for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Really happy for Craig Jones and the B team, and Nicky Rod as well, who won the over 80 kilogram division. But that's Jordan's time to speak about sports he cares about.
All right, let's transition to what's returning this week. College football is back, baby.
Ooh, week 0. It's like Yu-Gi-Oh! Season 0.
We got 4 games. We've got Florida State at Georgia Tech, Montana State at New Mexico, SMU at Nevada, and Delaware State at Hawaii. I mean, Florida State's going to kick the shit out of Georgia Tech. SMU is going to destroy Nevada. I think they're 24-point favorites. I think Florida State's 11-point favorites. Montana State, I'm not sure about because I didn't see the lines. And then Delaware State and Hawaii is just going to be a fun 11 o'clock at night, take the over, fall asleep, and wake up, and hopefully you won.
This is our Pac-12 after dark makeup, except it's not the Pac-12, but it is after dark, so that's all that matters.
Dude, Hawaii games are fucking brutal. A start time at 11 p.m. Yeah. At my old job where I worked nights, dude, I loved it because I was like, cool, I'll get home and I'm going to watch an entire football game because I stay up till 4 o'clock in the morning anyways. Now I'm like, fuck that. I don't have the stamina to sit here and watch a game that kicks off at 11.
Hawaii games are really fun if you're getting back in from a night out because you're like going to catch like the fourth quarter basically. The game's probably already decided unless it's a really fun game because the other team had to fly all the way to Hawaii. And I don't know. I'm going to have fun on Saturday whenever that comes on just because it's nice to, again, one of my like things I love about college football is the fact that it will be on at 11 o'clock at night. If you're on the East Coast, that's the next day. Like you're getting to Sunday there. So I'm excited for college football. It's not like a great slate of games, but that's week 0 for you. You're not going to get the USC versus UCLA's. I don't know what. Who's the first week? It's USC versus who is? Let me.
We've got a bunch of games on Thursday, 29th.
USC's playing. It's USC versus LSU. That's what it is. That's week 1. So that's going to be.
Also, you have Clemson at Georgia, and then. Well, who'd you say? What team did you just say?
I said LSU and USC.
You also have Notre Dame at Texas A&M,
which I wonder who you're going to support in that. Can we talk badly about Aggies? I don't know. No one likes. Again,
let's wait till the week after that game, and then we'll decide.
Well, I'll tell.
I may want nothing in my mentions. I may want to avoid the topic completely.
See, I don't care. I'll say it at least. One of my friends in college, he moved to Texas from Illinois. And he told me like a story about how he'd always heard about Aggies and how Aggies are. Mm-hmm. And he never really got it because he's like, they're people. Like every school has annoying people. And then he met Aggies and he was like, you know what? I totally get it now. I get the stigma.
So USC is playing at LSU. You're correct, but it's actually on Sunday. It's the day after. They have a 6:30 kickoff time Central, and it is the lone show in town because it'll be before the NFL kickoff, which is the following week. So Sunday is theirs at 6:30. That's gonna be a fun game, and I'm glad I'll be able to watch that.
I know it's on Sunday. That makes it even better somehow. That's like a little appetizer.
They normally do a big prime time game the week between the last preseason game for NFL and the first regular season game. There's that Sunday they have off, and they normally stick the best matchup they have for that week on there. I think they were deciding between Notre Dame and A&M and that matchup, and I'm very happy they went with that matchup because Notre Dame does not do well in prime time, baby.
I just looked at, I don't know, I'm on USC's schedule now, and I saw they play Notre Dame the last week of the season. So
that means Notre Dame's playing at, because if they play in November, if they play in October, that normally means they're at Notre Dame because they don't want it being fucking awful outside. And if they play the last game of the year, it's at USC because it's better weather.
This confuses me though because USC's in the Big Ten, so you'd imagine it'd be snowy there.
Oh. Right. They're in California, Jordan.
Yeah. No, that's the joke, right? that's the conference realignment joke of the week, which we've never done before and probably will never do again. But yeah, no, I kind of hate I've written enough blogs about how much I hate conference realignment, how I will watch the games because I'm excited for the games, but I hate the idea of these regional teams that have this history. I know people who went to Arkansas. Obviously, I'm never going to play anyone who, as a UH fan, I'm never going to play anyone who went to Arkansas. But it does kind of suck that now I can't play anyone who went to Texas either. So
I will say that normally week 0 is still kind of this way, but normally week 1s for the college football season is not great matchups. But this one looks like it has a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh moment of the week has a lot of Yugi versus Kaibas compared to Tristan versus Peyas that we normally get.
Whoa, you mean our power of friendship matches?
Mark the hand.
Here, the hands, the star hands. Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, but college football's back, so who cares at this point? Like, it's gonna be nice to get a little taste of college football, just like competitive football in general, because preseason football is not competitive for a good reason, but it's just not. All right, Brian, would you like to start our South preview, our Southern preview?
Yes, except for the fact that I labeled this NFC West instead
cool.
of South.
I mean, we can do the West again. You know, we can go back to last week.
Hey, I did the same thing for the AFC too. So let me OCD. I'm gonna correct that real quick.
Texans are moving on West these days.
Well, I mean, AL West, right?
I mean, in a way, actually, it only makes sense.
Let's start off with the NFC because we want to say the AFC. We know what team we're going to talk about last, of course.
Yes.
But let's start in the NFC South. Where do you want to start, man?
So I was going to make my Yu-Gi-Oh joke real quickly because I feel like I was really excited for it.
Go for it.
The NFC South to me is like that. You know, in the Battle City tournament, how there's a little time where they like go in the virtual world and Kaiba has like his daddy issues moments before they get to this is the NFC South. It's there, but forgettable. So we can talk about it all we want. Let's just start with the Bucks because I like Baker Mayfield. I will always like Baker Mayfield. I don't know why, but I do.
Yeah, but no, me too. I don't. I think it's because it had the cocky arrogance that was Johnny Manziel with the NFL transition to back it up, and on top of that, it wasn't overbearing cockiness. But he plays with a certain, like I said, I hate using this word, swagger, that I really do appreciate. I actually really enjoyed those Browns commercials where he lived. He acted like he lived in the Browns stadium. But biggest thing for me that Baker has an advantage here is that he's got a great wide receiver duo in Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. Mike Evans, we talked about extensively being a quiet Hall of Famer. And then they added a third-round rookie in Jalen McMillan out of Washington. This has a good chance to be a very overlooked, out of nowhere pass attack that Baker might throw for 4,000 yards. And I wouldn't be shocked. They have the weapons. Their offensive line isn't bad to keep them upfield. This isn't so. They have a new offensive coordinator named Liam Cohen, and they've crossed paths before. He was in the Rams organization when Baker Mayfield went there in 2022, and after the Panthers disaster. So it's not like the OC knows what he's working with here, and I'm actually really looking forward to this Bucs team.
My one worry for the Bucs, and this is more a general. No, it's more for a Baker Mayfield question. They lost their OC to Carolina, who's the new head coach there, and he was like the QB rehabber. Like he had rehab Geno Smith. He had rehab Baker Mayfield. I'm a Baker Mayfield believer. He has that je ne sais quoi of, like that coolness. He also just a good quarterback, and I wish the best for him after, going to the Browns. But I do maybe somewhat worry about, can he keep that same momentum from last season to this season after kind of losing that guy who helped him come back. They also have a brutal early schedule. So which, is a confidence killer, which I would hope wasn't a confidence killer just because the AFC South, or not AFC South, the NFC South is not the most rigorous of schedules as it is, but they do have a brutal early schedule. So I hope it doesn't kill their confidence. Also, their safety, Antoine Winfield, he rocks. He had the first season in the modern century. I don't know. First season of 120 tackles, 120 plus tackles, 6 fumbles, 6 sacks, 12 passes defended, and plus he got 3 interceptions. Dude is a monster out there. Other than that, their pass coverage lacking a little bit, but I think they have the tools to, if not win the NFC South, they can make a run at the end, like a wild card or something, like a sneak-in wild card.
Cornerback is their biggest question, for sure, and it's not particularly close, which makes this team a big overs team.
Yeah.
And one last thing on their offense, they have Rashid White, who is, I believe, a top 3 pass catcher for running backs too. So even if he has, even if they somehow contain those 3 weapons that he has at wide receiver, he's got a good dump down guy that can get yards after catch and has really good pass blocking skills as well. So they should give him time for the wide receivers to get open. I like this offense a lot. Like I said, over machine for sure. I think with the lack of cornerback, that means teams are going to throw all over them. With this wide receiver core and this quarterback, they're going to put up a lot of points. This is going to be a fun overs team.
Yeah, it'll be a fun team in general. Especially again, we've talked about Mike Evans on this podcast already, and how he is a sneaky first ballot guy.
Oh yeah,
and he's going to get over 1,000 yards again this season because he always does. Death taxes and Mike Evans getting over 1,000 yards. So I'm excited to see what this team is. Again, I'm hoping the best for Baker Mayfield just because I'm a Baker guy. Panthers, we just kind of mentioned them a little bit. And our the Bryce Young debate. Bryce Young, take 2. Can he do it?
I think it's way too early to give up on Bryce. Like, people are writing him off. It is way too early to give up on Bryce Young. Tom Brady actually did an interview where he was talking about how nowadays they throw rookies into the fire, and if they don't perform right away, they're like, oh, this is a waste of time, instead of developing players. Sure, some players, Jordan Love, Aaron Rodgers, they sit behind a quarterback for a while, learn, and then they go out there and perform. But they don't get given up on. Like, there's a lot of Panthers fans that were like, we made the wrong mistake, we got to rebuild, we got to draft. Oh wait, shit, we traded our first round pick to the Bears. No, it's way too early to give up on Bryce Young. And they traded for Deontay Johnson, and then they drafted Xavier Legette, and then they also drafted second round running back Jonathan Brooks, but he is still recovering from ACL tear. And they beefed up their offensive line pretty heavily. Yeah. So Bryce Young should take a big step forward this year. I'm not saying he's going to be the guy. I'm just saying you got to give him a chance to progress and become a better player. He learned a lot last year. You learn a lot failing. You just, hopefully his confidence isn't completely shot and he can bounce back and become the player that the Carolina Panthers wanted him to be.
I mean, he got thrown into the deep end last year with that O-line. So, and with the new head coach, from what I've read, I haven't seen anything about what I've read, they're going to run a little bit more. They're going to be more balanced this year with Chuba Howard as kind of a talisman behind Bryce. Like you said, they spend big on the O-line. They have kind of a new secondary. They're still going to suck this year. Let's not go crazy. They're still going to suck. They're going to be last in the NFC South, which again, may be the worst division in football. But I have more faith in Bryce Young this season. I'm hoping the best for him because, like, he was given a terrible start to his career, an unfair start. So here's to hoping. There's not really much on this team, just hoping for the best.
And don't forget, we lost to them last year.
Yeah. I mean, that's the Texans Chicago White Sox apparently. All right, Saints and the Derek Carr except Derek Carr's probably going to stay because I had seen some articles last week, some talk last week about possibly trading him to Pittsburgh of all places. But it seems like he's kind of back in the starting position there, which I'm glad. For all the hate I give the Carrs as a family, I do hope the best for Derek Carr. They had the projected worst O-line though, so death taxes and Carrs getting the short end of the stick when it comes to offensive lines. They have the worst cap situation as well in the entire league. But they have a D-line to watch, so like good for them. Other than that, I mean, they have Chris Olave, they have Rashid Shaheed, but it's not looking great over there in New Orleans.
So the Saints were a top 10 team in scoring last year, and I think they're going to build on that.
Okay.
There are a lot of same faces as offensive weapons, which isn't the problem. Like you brought up, it is the offensive line. They've got a lot of questions there, especially at offensive tackle. They drafted a right tackle that they're asking to play left tackle, and that's just like, oh, why wouldn't you just play the other side? That is a different monster. You are going to be going against normally the best pass rusher on the other team, and it's you have everything you've learned, how to pass set, get your hands ready, kick, everything. You have to basically teach yourself to mirror. So it's going to be, I think Carr's going to get hit a lot, but I don't know. I think offensively they're going to be okay. It's just going to be a lot of QB hits. I think he'll get the ball out quick enough. Chris Olave is a very good wide receiver one. I think he's a little bit overlooked and underrated. Kamara is going to do his thing when he's healthy and the contract gets done because he's currently holding out for a contract. And then there's always Tyson Hill, who is entertaining to say the least. As a non-Saints fan, it is just fun whenever Tyson Hill gets in there because it's entertaining and shit's going to get wild and you don't know what's going to happen. But it doesn't cost me anything because I have nothing invested in the Saints. And the biggest thing that I have for there is they're absolutely fucking loaded at cornerback. They've got Marshawn Lattimore, Paul Adebo, Alante Taylor, and now they just drafted Kool-Aid McCursty out of Alabama. They have a good problem of having too many cornerbacks and not sure what to do at it. And guess what? That means you have 4 cornerbacks that you can keep fresh. And if you have a hot hand, you just roll with it. It's a good problem. They're going to shut down. They've got a decent defensive line too. Speaking of, Chase Young is a Saint.
Since when?
Yeah, that was my reaction yesterday, or I think on Sunday when I saw him in a Saints uniform. I was like, okay, Chase Young is a Saint. So defensively, they'll be all right. Their cornerbacks are going to be great, but I don't know. I had a friend from work that told me at the beginning of last year that there's a chance that the Saints go 17-0, and I went, mm-hmm. And I'm really hoping he has that same thought this year, but no shot. I think this might be a surprise of a team in the negative for once. We always talk about teams coming out of nowhere and surprising us. I think the Saints might be worse than what people expect.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with the Saints is I think Derek Carr is going to get basically punished the entire season, which will probably lead to some sort of injury. If Kamara comes back, he's kind of proven in the past couple of seasons he can't be trusted injury-wise. So maybe I don't know. I'm not high on the Saints at all. I'm also an idiot online, so who knows what I'm saying. They could go win the Super Bowl for all I know. Mm-hmm. But looking at this, and like poor sweet Derek Carr is going to go get battered all the time. So again, if you have the worst projected offensive line, I didn't know about the tackle. That's an insane thing to do. Yeah, they're trying to kill Derek Carr. It's like Russell and Sean Payton in Denver.
That's also based off a report I saw in late July. So they may have been like, fuck this a month since it's been a month. So we'll see. But that is an insane thing to do.
If there's one thing I know about sports organizations and their leadership, they rarely ever change their mind once they get set to it, which is not a good thing. But let's move on to the Falcons and the new and improved Kirk Cousins, which I actually, again,
no.
Well, he went to a new team and he dresses different. He doesn't dress like he's in Kohl's anymore. So, that's what I mean by new and improved. He actually, again, I keep saying this about every quarterback we've talked about so far. I don't hate Kirk Cousins. He actually has. So he was top 5 in expected points added, which is kind of like a vague war at the end of the season when he played last season. Mm-hmm. He was a good quarterback for the Vikings until he got hurt. It's not to say that, because it's not to say that he can't be good here. I'm just interested to see what's going to happen, especially with Michael Penix Jr. sitting there in the back, which could be like a Jordan Love situation. Everyone was mad when they drafted him, and then he comes out and just is the big star. They have a new head coach and offensive coach. They have a great offensive line, which I think we kind of learned in I've at least thought about like in our little talks. The offensive line can make or break a team easily. And with a guy who's 35 and injury prone, it's good to have a great offensive line in front of him. Also, Bijan Robinson is there, going to do great. He said in an interview somewhere, and I don't know if this is true. I just saw randomly. He's going to try to mimic the play style of Christian McCaffrey this season. According to him, I don't know.
He's talented enough to be able to try, not replicate exactly, but he could go through the progressions.
Last thing on the offense, you have Kyle Pitts, you have Raven McLeod, you have Darnell, or what's his name? I want to call him Daryl Morey each time, but that's not it. You have Drake London, and then even on defense, you have Matthew Judon, AJ Terrell. It looks like a good team. Again, it's the NFC South. I think I saw somewhere they have the easiest schedule in football. So they're going to win the South pretty easily, in my opinion. But it looks like a good team. It's going to be a fun team.
I have the Bucs winning, but it's Kirk Cousins' time. Kyle Pitts should finally be unlocked. Should finally my God, I don't know what Atlanta's been doing for the past several years, not using him the way he should be used. But Drake London, massive upside. Bijan Robinson, great rookie campaign last year with just under 1,500 total yards. I think he's going to eclipse 1,500 total yards this year pretty easily. Though Tyler Aguilar will get his. He'll be a nice second punch to that. Matthew Judon they just traded for, but their defense is old. Like I think they have 4 or 5 starters that are 35 plus. That's an older defense. Now that doesn't mean they're a bad defense. I'm just saying they're a little bit older. So look towards the end of the season to see how they're doing. And they look to continue to build their offensive up, their defense up. I believe their DC has been on like I think he in the past 7 years he's basically turned around 2 different teams pretty well. So I think the Falcons were looking for that, and hopefully this. I want to say the Buccaneers are going to win it, but I would not surprise me if the Falcons won it.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think the Falcons. They're in my mind. There are too many questions with the Bucs right now. Even though I like the Bucs. I like Baker Mayfield. I wanted again beating the Philadelphia last season was a surprise. I think to most people, and I'd like to see them continue that success into this season. But I think Falcons have it. If not, the Bucs have it. Bucs could be a sneaky wild card if they need to. So I don't know. Fun, okay division. Not the greatest division in football. There's a reason the Falcons have the easiest schedule. Let's move on to our favorite division. Some people are saying a 3-headed monster, 4-headed monster of a division. That's not me, but some people are saying. Some are saying, Brian, that's the AFC South. Where would you like to start? Because I know where we're not starting.
Jaguars.
Okay.
Let's start with Jaguars. They lost Calvin Ridley because they did not use him correctly at all, which is Calvin Ridley is one of the most talented wide receivers in the league. That doesn't mean he's one of the best wide receivers in the league. He's one of the most talented wide receivers in the league, and they did not use him the way they should have used him. So he bounced, and he left to division rival Titans. We'll get to that a little bit later. But they did trade. No, they grabbed, I believe, Gabe Davis from free agency, and then they drafted Brian Thomas Jr. out of LSU. And they ended up being able to keep edge rusher Josh Hines Allen. I think he hyphenated his name now so that there's a differential between him and the quarterback. And
the quarterback.
And Trevor Lawrence signed a huge extension here. And he has another great pass catcher in Evan Ingram, who kind of had a horrible end for the Giants, but kind of turned his career around after last year for the Jags, and he's going to look to build on that. But yeah, Trevor Lawrence got 5 years, $275 million for his extension. Not guaranteed. I think it's 162 is guaranteed. Listen, if you think you have the guy, you have to pay him. I don't know if Trevor Lawrence is the guy, but if you think you have him, you have to keep him. You have to pay him.
Yeah, so my Trevor Lawrence hot take, it's why I'm not scared of Trevor Lawrence in any sense. And this has nothing to do with his football ability. He reminds me of the biblical character of Samson, who got his strength from his hair. Because I've never seen Trevor Lawrence without long hair. Okay. So I imagine if he gets a little too good this season, throws a little too good of a long ball, we just send a really sneaky barber to Jacksonville, and next thing you know, they're off the rocker. They're not going to do well. So that's my plan for the season. I also think that they picked up Mitch Morse as well, which is good for them because they need a better offensive line to protect. Trevor Lawrence is also throwing an average of 2.4 seconds, which is close to his Pro Bowl season. With that said, though, you do need to protect your quarterback. Their defense is a huge question overall. That's probably their biggest question. They also have a younger receiver core now, which that could be a good thing. That could be a bad thing. We'll see what happens with that. And they also got a new DC, which it was an upgrade because their old DC kind of sucked. Their new
Ryan
DC,
Nielsen.
Ryan Nielsen, there we go. He replaced Mike Paul Caldwell. They also got Eric Armstead as well. So that was a good upgrade for them. But I do think their biggest weak spot is defense going into the season.
Yeah, they have a familiar offensive line, like you brought up, except for their center. But they look to build upon a rocky year last year, and I think they're going to actually step up and do pretty well. And then the man behind the man, Travis Etienne, they've talked about lightening his load to keep him healthy and fresh towards the end of the season, because they started off really well last year, and then they just kind of crashed and burned. So I think, and part of that was probably Travis Etienne being like, I am so tired of carrying you fuckers every single game. So they're going to lighten his load a little bit and try and keep him fresh for a playoff push. I want to say the Jaguars are going to get last place in the division, but this is the AFC South to me is similar to the AFC North, where it's just, my God, did these teams just beat the shit out of each other and do not like each other. So sometimes the Jaguars, who like the Titans last year, were a bad team, beat the Texans, I believe, in the last game. Mm. It's just one of those things where throw the record books out. Not as heavily as the AFC North, but the Jaguars could do some damage because if they play angry and they win 4 or 5 of their division games, they might end up taking this thing. Who knows? But that's a lower end expectation or prediction. I wouldn't expect that to happen.
I mean, Tony Khan was willing to wear a neck brace to the NFL draft, so who knows what this team's willing to do to get a good win. All right, do you want to do Titans or Colts next?
Titans.
Titans, okay. Our Sigma quarterback, Will Levis, Sigma grindset quarterback?
Yeah, I like Will Levis. Will Maynes let us. He's the guy. Tannehill's out officially. That's not the biggest offensive story for me. The biggest offensive story for me is they lost Derrick Henry and replaced him with Tony Pollard. Okay,
good for them.
And they've got TJ Spears, I believe, is the other guy's name. We do not have to deal with Derrick Henry twice a year now, and I'm very fucking happy about it. Though they did sign Calvin Ridley, who, like I said, I think is one of the most talented wide receivers in the league, and they are going to probably use him right because they're going to see what the Jaguars did and go, not that. And they've got a guy that can load up and launch the fucking ball in Will Levis. So, hey, Calvin Ridley, speedster that has some size, go get the fucking ball. And then he's going to be like, okay, I'm pretty fresh because last year they didn't know how to use me. And the year before that, I was fucking suspended. And he's going to, I think Calvin Ridley is going to be one of the best receivers in the league this year. I don't think the Titans are going to be one of the best teams in the league this year, but I think Calvin Ridley is going to have a hell of a season.
So what you're saying is Calvin Ridley should bet the over for his yards this season.
And touchdowns.
Okay, Calvin, if you're listening, do it from outside the facility this time. I say I like Will Levis too. I feel like I've said that about every single quarterback so far. I call him our Sigma grindset quarterback just because his girlfriend did do the whole breakup with him thing. So I think it's funny to call him Sigma grindset, even though he has none of those traits whatsoever. L'Jarius Sneed also comes in to the Titans, which I found interesting. Again, I don't know exactly if they're a threat to I'm going to say from a Texans perspective. I don't know if they're going to be particularly a threat to the Texans. With that said, I mean, like you said, AFC South is a beat 'em up kind of division. They could come out here and just kill us, especially with Calvin Ridley right there. I mean, who knows if the entire game plan is just like, hey, just run down the field and we'll launch it to you. Again, I said it this last week, but it's the watch this drive of plays. Just like, watch this drive. I'm going to throw this thing. So, again, I keep saying again for some reason this podcast, like I've said this 1,000 times, I do think Titans will probably are the favorites to get last in the division. With that said, I don't know if it's going to be like it's not going to be like a 5-12 situation. It'll be more than that. So.
They also have 2 great pass catchers too. They still have DeAndre Hopkins while hurt. I mean, he's still a talented, great wide receiver. And they brought in Tyler Boyd, who is always under the radar. He was a longtime Cincinnati Bengal. He is now on the Titans. So that's 3 pretty good pass catchers for Will Levis to chuck it to. And I think Will Levis is actually going to have a pretty good year receiving wise. The biggest question on the Titans is absolutely their defense, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. We just don't know what this is going to look like, and they could surprise a lot of people.
I mean, again, the thing with the Titans that I will always hate the Titans is the whole we own the colors to Houston thing, which, hey, UH said, screw you guys. So here's to that. But yeah, great question on defense. Offense looks like it could be good. Will Levis, again, is kind of a question still. He will be, at least for this season, just because he did well last season. but who knows if he can continue that. So
they have a rookie starting at left tackle as well, in J.C. Latham out of Alabama. So he's got the blind side. If he can keep Will Levis up, they should be okay. It wouldn't surprise me if this team got last place though in the division. I got 7-10 in my head. I haven't looked at their schedule. I haven't done win losses yet, but they could be 10-7 at the same time. It's just it's going to completely depend on how this offensive line does, how Willis progresses, and the biggest question mark is their defense.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the Titans again. Interesting. I don't know. I don't really know what to think of the Titans. Like, it's not that they're a question mark. It's just there's a lot that could happen, but I don't think they're going to happen in first place. All right, yeah. Colts and our injury-prone Anthony. I say and the injury-prone Anthony Richardson coming in to try again.
He's going to be a fucking problem, dude. If he stays healthy, he's going to be a fucking problem. I don't mean to peek my mic. I apologize. The comparisons to prime Cam Newton are a little fucking early. Let's pump the brakes on that. But dude, can he ball, man? When he was healthy, I think he put up 14 points in less than 2 minutes against us last year in Houston, which the Colts in Houston is the scariest thing to me every single year. I would rather play anyone else than the Colts in Houston. They just step up and have our number every time. But Michael Pittman will get his. He'll have 1,000 yards. And if Anthony Richardson stays healthy, I think Pittman will probably eclipse 1,300 yards. And then they drafted in the second round O'Donnell Mitchell. And I think he'll have a bigger impact sooner rather than later as the number 2 wide receiver. And, of course, Jonathan Taylor is a stud. And they have a fucking great offensive line.
There's a worry that because Zach Moss left and Jonathan Taylor seems to be kind of on his own this season, I do worry about the running game for the Colts. Anthony Richardson, it should be noted, has had 8 injuries in the past 5 seasons. Now,
ouch.
Yeah, that's a problem. Again, I don't know what's with the Colts and picking quarterbacks who look like they could be generational talents and then all of a sudden just possibly losing them to injuries. Yeah. That is the biggest worry, I think, for the Colts this season is can Anthony Richardson, and I'm going to say stay healthy for once in his life, but can he stay healthy for the entire season? Because he's not shown that he can do it the first season. Hopefully this season, maybe with physio, a stronger offensive line, something like that. But I don't know.
Look, they have a great pass rush, and they only got better. They drafted, I'm not going to pronounce this right, Latu.
I know who you're talking
Latitude. And so their pass rush is going to be fucking deadly, and it's going to be if it's not against us, it's going to be fun to watch. And then the biggest thing I saw was it's a lot of the same faces around the Colts this year. It's pretty much the same team outside of keeping Anthony Richardson healthy and their draft picks, but it's pretty much the same team, which is not a bad thing. I think if it's not going to be us, it's probably going to be them. Yeah.
I mean, they've had what time Andrew Luck retired in 2019. They've had these years where they're trying so hard to rebuild with something. They're just going to kind of throwing darts at the board, hoping one will stick. This seems like the first season in a long time where I look at the Colts and say, "Oh no, they might be back." After years of the sheriff destroying us.
What was it? The past quarterbacks was like Phillip Rivers, and then
Joe Flacco was there too.
Joe Flacco was there, and then
Matthew not Stafford,
Matt Ryan,
yeah.
So they finally went, fuck this, we're drafting a quarterback last year. He looked great until he got injured, and then and now they're just hoping that Anthony Richardson can stay healthy, because if he does stay healthy, dude, he's going to be a lot of fun to watch when it's not against us.
It's going to be
the Colts are a team that it always sucked that they were in their division for me. That we're in their division, because I've always liked a lot of their players, and it always sucks they shit pump us. It's why I don't like Peyton Manning, is because he beat the shit out of us for 15 years. And then T.Y. Hilton, his second home was in Houston. I'm pretty sure his top 5 biggest games were all in NRG Stadium. So Colts have always been a team that I would have liked to root for if they were not in our division, or at least it's not like hardcore cheer for, but haha, they're playing the fucking Browns. Go Colts. But now that they're in the division, I've never been able to root for them, and I will never root for them. But Anthony Richardson's fun, and I do like him, so that sucks.
I will never root for the Colts, but I will say, growing up, I loved Peyton Manning because I think he was the anti-Tom Brady in my mind. I loved Peyton Manning. I don't know why. So I wouldn't be happy when we beat the Texans, but I would watch and be like, that's some good football right there as a 10-year-old. So, all right, let's move on to the number one, the reason we're here. Also, we're at like 46 minutes. I did not realize that. Yeah. Number one, the Houston Texans. I don't know if you want to pull up your predictions for the season because I looked through our website and you have predictions for every single game.
Nope. I was supposed to do 3 or 4 before the season starts. I'll try and do one more before the season starts. I'm sure I'm going to eat my words because now that I've gone to the preseason game, I've seen the preseason, I've seen a lot of the hype, I've seen the Twitter videos, and I've seen what this team can be. I think I had us going 11-6.
Mm-hmm.
I think when I go through it again, I think I'm going to have us something at like 13-4 or 14-3, to be honest, because this team looks fucking great. And speaking of fucking great, CJ Stroud is him. He is him. I am so scared for about 2 years, 3 years from now when we have to pay him and we're going to have to back up $300 million and be like, or just here's the keys to Houston, Texas, whatever you want forever. Just please don't talk to any masseuses ever. That's all I'm asking for, man. Please just don't do anything shady. He's coming off in my opinion, the greatest rookie season of all time for a quarterback. And with a more stout and healthy offensive line and even deeper wide receiver core than last year, which includes Nico Collins, who is one of the most slept on receivers in the entire league. Still to this day, after these past 2 seasons, and Tank Dell as well, who is just a speedster, and if he can stay healthy, is just amazing. I love Tank Dell, and we add Stephon Diggs, who, as long as he can keep the drama a little bit low, which I think he will, I'm cautiously optimistic about that the drama is going to stay on the sidelines, or not on the sidelines, and he's going to be okay, and he's going to get his target share. We have Noah Brown, who's been under the radar target, and then the seemingly emergence of John Mechie. With all these receivers, these 5 receivers that he has, these are the wide receivers that he has. Mm-hmm. I think he's going to eclipse 4,500 yards. That's not to mention the fact that we have Dalton Schultz and Brevin Jorden also as tight end, which are going to put up pretty good numbers this year and are good blockers on top of that. Well, Schultz is. I'm not sure Brevin Jordan's pass grade, but we've got 7 people that can catch the ball. I think I wanted to say 5,000 yards. Fuck it. CJ Stroud, 5,000 yards this year. Let's go. Let's have a season. 5,000 yards, 35 touchdowns, 6 interceptions.
It's 0 interceptions, first off, I believe. Yeah. The only thing that I was kind of down on was the Joe Mixon trade, just because I didn't think he wasn't as explosive towards the time in the Bengals. We have Dameon Pierce. I was looking actually up. Jorden is a very good at zone-based schemes. So I think they're going to do like a Dameon Pierce, Joe Mixon kind of 1-2. Really? No,
Dameon Pierce has looked like shit this preseason.
Okay.
He's had the second preseason game he had 40 yards, and this past one that we played against the Giants, he looked like shit. I think he was averaging 1.3 yards per carry. He looked bad. He was missing holes. He was running into linemen. He was missing cuts. Actually, I think our number 2 is going to be Cam Akers, who was a free agent signing for Joe Mixon, because Joe Mixon went down with a hamstring, and he has looked explosive and he's looked good.
I'll be okay. Straight up, I don't watch preseason at all. I don't care. I will never care about preseason.
That's fair.
Just because I don't know. It's good for that, but I just don't care. Okay. O-line, Laramie Tunsil. Can you stay healthy? Please stay healthy. Please. I beg of you, stay healthy.
And Titus Howard.
Yes. Gonna go on defense now. We picked up Daniel Hunter, Danico Autry. So I wrote about this. I wrote about how Nick Caserio all of a sudden decided that the Texans had money and we should spend it. I used the it's one banana Michael $10. What is it? $10. I had his face and it said it's one free agent Michael. What could it cost? $10. So I saw people hating on the Azeez Al-Sharar pickup because we lost Blake Cashman. Now this is my Jordan advanced stats moment. So Jordan went into his advanced stats book. They have similar tackling, but how Pro Football Reference does WAR, because they can't do WAR. WAR is basically impossible for football. They have something called approximate value. and Aziz Al-Sharar and Blake Cashman basically have the same AV. So I think it was not a bad pickup. I think people hated it. I didn't hate it. I like it. We picked up corners. We picked up 3 corners. I forgot about that. That's great for depth. I like this team this season. I think one of the questions maybe was our pass defense, but again, if we pick up 3 corners, I don't know. You've seen it live. I haven't. Hopefully they're looking good. Also, Tank Dell, I love you so much. Tank Dell, I watched you at UH. You called your shot to get drafted by the Texans. You're here on the Texans. Okay. I talk about how much I love Mike McDaniels just because I love his scheming, but I also love Tyreek in that scheme because he's a kind of small guy who runs fast and is streaky. Same with Tank. Tank is like you're my version of Tyreek right now that I get to watch and cheer for when I'm not cheering for the kind of Mike McDaniels in general. I'm high on this team. I love this team. This is the first time in years I've felt like somewhat of some joy going to a Texan season. Usually it was like, all right, like it was like, hey, this our QB is currently probably going to get indicted, and then oh no, okay, well we drafted a rookie. It's a rookie we're thrown into the fire. A rookie who, again, I don't know if you remember all the talk. People are like, oh, this guy's genuinely stupid. Which, for the record, the test they used was like some weird test that didn't matter. It was like a reactions test or something like that. I don't care. It doesn't matter. It's dead. They don't use it for a reason. But I'm excited for this team. I'm excited for the defense, too. I don't know why. I'm just excited for the defense this year.
So what I've got on the defense, we added Danielle Hunter, like you said, which that means our pass rush just got better. Mm-hmm. And he'll be on the opposite side of Will Anderson Jr., who faced it was number 5 in double team rate last year. So Danielle Hunter should open things up for both of them. I'm going bold with it. I'm going to say they're both going to have 12 plus sack seasons, 12 plus sacks for those two. And then, like you brought up this the pass defense in Derek Stingley continues to march up to be one of the best cornerbacks in the league. Jalen Petrie looks as an amazing strong safety, and then Jimmy Ward hopefully can save healthy and be our free safety because he came over with D'Amico Ryan from the 49ers after a phenomenal season. I really want to see what a full season of healthy Jimmy Ward looks like. This defense under D'Amico Ryan, they should fly around and have fun, and they should be fun to watch. I'm a little bit nervous just because Texans defense outside of that 1 year under Wade Phillips always kind of worries me. But I mean, they did nothing but improve. So I'm looking forward to it this year. And the only thing that we don't have compared to last year is that we don't have the element of surprise. No one was expecting shit out of us last year, and we did amazing. We did a rebuild in basically 2 years, which is unheard of in the NFL. And so I'm a little bit nervous that people are going to have too high of expectations. I still think we're about a year and a half away for a real true run at this thing. But it would not surprise me if we end up going to the Super Bowl this year. It really wouldn't. I am high on this team. I'm fucking ready to get hurt again. And let's have a fucking season, dude.
All right. Well, I will take a step back and say we're not making the Super Bowl this year because there's another team in the way that I think could kill us. Yeah. I think could kill anybody. I also like to point out punters are people too. So I'd like to welcome Tommy Townsend to Houston, who I was genuinely excited for because he's a Pro Bowl punter from the Chiefs. So that's just my punters are people too moment of the week, which is not a moment of the week, but I'm happy he's here.
Super Bowl winning punter. Yeah. We took him. We got the recipe now. Let's go out and let's go fucking win this thing. Speaking of winning, I had a good weekend this weekend. No, you ruined the podcast this weekend. I went 9-7, which is positive. Mm-hmm. After last week's performance, or 2 weeks ago performance, it's positive. I'm now 13-9-1, which if you're going to say, oh, wait, that doesn't add up. That's 33, not 32. How'd you do that? The Hall of Fame game counts. So I guess let's just dive into it. Once again, this is week 3 of the preseason. This is even the biggest shit show of all of them. These are all just random, and I just hope they will work. Colts, Bengals +6. Bears, Chiefs, over 34.5. Jaguars, Falcons +7. Dolphins, Bucks, Dolphins +2. That's the Jorden play. 49ers, Raiders, 49ers -5. Ravens, Packers, Ravens -1. Rams, Texans, over 34. System play. I'm going to the game. Vikings, Eagles money line. Steelers, Lions +6. Chargers, Cowboys -3.5. Giants, Jets money line.
Browns, Seahawks over 35.5 system play last game of the night. Titans, Saints plus 3.5. Cardinals, Broncos under 35.5. Patriots, Commanders over 34 system play, but I fucking hate it. System play is always just the last game of the day. I like taking over to watch it, but Patriots, Commanders.
Whoa. Commanders. So we just talked about how much we not like Commanders, but I don't know. Okay. With that said, we are almost at an hour. Good for us. I don't think we have anything to talk about. We hit the time this week without.
Well, we do have something to talk about. If you would like to give the information to the people.
Yes, I got to give the people what they want. So we are in the finals of the ESPN Houston Rock the Mic contest, which means we will be on ESPN Radio this Friday. We don't have the exact time yet we'll be on, but somewhere between 5 and 7. We're going to be on the Killer Bees. They're going to be live at Carbach Brewery. There we go, Brewery. If you'd like to come out, I don't know if anyone's going to like to come out, but if you'd like to come out, we'll be out there. But listen live, and I think at 6:45 is the plan. They'll announce the winners, but obviously live radio things can change. So between 5 and 7, listen up, and we'll be on there at some point.
You can find me anywhere at Auric Polaris on all social medias, especially on twitch.tv/Auric Polaris. Don't follow Jorden because he doesn't want you to follow him. Follow the Moonstamp accounts instead across all social medias. Thank you guys so much for listening. We appreciate it. We love you, and we will see you next week.
Stay beautiful, everyone.